South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rock and dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome in. Good morning. It is Sports by the Book here at the South Point studio, Las Vegas Boulevard. Sean, you know what to do, my friend. There we go. Perfect. That was Ralph Sirocco not too long ago. And faded into thin air. No, that's not how that happened. Behind me, you better get here sooner rather than later to make your bets. Crowded house upstairs at the best party in Las Vegas. We had a good time yesterday. We had a good time. By the way, there you go right now. The line pretty much back. Well, not pretty much. It is back to the Del Mar Deli right now. Back to the Del Mar Deli, which, I don't know, make a bet, get a bacon, egg, and cheese. Not a bad morning, right? Yeah, see, I got a reaction out of Jerry at 8:45 in the morning. If I got a reaction out of our guy Jerry by 8 this early, I know I've said something correct, which is a nice little change from what happened yesterday. So we'll look to bounce back after yesterday. A day that really just lacked upsets. McNeese State, obviously early in the day, got it done in what was really just a hideous performance by Clemson until it was too late. And then Drake, the Darlings, you figured one of the 2 Darlings was going to win yesterday, either them or UC San Diego. Drake is the one who beats Missouri by 10. And UC San Diego in late night almost comes from 15 back to beat Michigan. Just not quite enough in the end as the Wolverines continue their luck box run, and we'll move into the second round. All games tomorrow. We'll break down on tomorrow morning show at 8:30. But today, this is all about the 16 games here today in the first round in the NCAA tournament, the Friday, Sunday pods of it. And let's get rolling all these games based off of timing here today. And we start in Raleigh with the Baylor Bears, the 9 seed, taking on the 8 seed Mississippi State Bulldogs. This has been a very interesting betting game, at least from my perspective, because you open pick here at the South Point. It actually got bet the Baylor favored and has bounced as high as 2 on the Bulldogs of Mississippi State. Now back to the 1 on Mississippi State here with Baylor as the underdog. Now, if you got the 2, job well done with Baylor. This is, to me, by the way, best money line in the marketplace right now on the South Point, right here at the South Point at even money. I would take Baylor. Now, here's the deal with both of these teams. Baylor's been dreadful on the road this year. Dreadful away from Waco. Now, again, this is a neutral. Can't really look at it as A road game is some do for whatever reason. On a neutral this year, they beat Arkansas in Dallas, which a little more of an advantage to Baylor there. They beat St. John's in Bahamas. Very good win. That was the crazy double overtime game back around Thanksgiving. And then last week in Kansas City, they beat the team they were supposed to. They lost to the team they were a dog against. They beat Kansas State. They lost to Texas Tech in a game that if Texas Tech didn't shoot ridiculously well from three, Baylor probably would have won. The one thing that has happened recently for Baylor since the loss to Colorado, other than the game against Oklahoma State where they just played it at Oklahoma State's tempo, Baylor has played 5 of their 6 slowest games of the season, 5 of their 7 slowest games. They've really grounded things down in the way of tempo. 58-58, 61-61 their last 4 games. Before that, 74 against Oklahoma State, a 60 against Cincinnati. Much slower tempo. Mississippi State has not been playing well either of late. Since they beat Texas A&M on February 18th, where they really stomped them, beat them by 16, game really wasn't even that competitive. Ole Miss is 2-5, and both wins have come against LSU, who is the worst team in the SEC by the end of the year. So you got an SEC team, which yesterday, the SEC teams, you kind of saw a little bit of a mixed bag. The high-end teams, Auburn really messed around. They never came close to covering as huge favorites against Alabama State. Tennessee was in control the whole way, did not cover against Wofford. Missouri, of course, outright upset yesterday. Georgia was out of the game before it even started, basically. And Arkansas won as a 5-point underdog. So it was really a mixed bag yesterday with only one SEC team covering, even though they went 3-2 as a whole yesterday. Oh, forgot Texas A&M. Texas A&M won and covered. So 4-2 yesterday. A&M was really the only one that actually covered pretty soundly yesterday. And yeah, I know Arkansas won, but Kansas didn't forget how basketball worked the last 3 minutes of the game. I think Arkansas would have blown that 10-point lead. But I like Baylor. It is a talent advantage for Baylor in this one. Again, they've never really fully put it together here, and I'm just so concerned about how Mississippi State has played over the last month. It's just not the same basketball team that we saw for a good chunk of the season. So we'll be on the Baylor Bears. You can take the money line, take the even money if you're here at the South Point. If it's plus 105, or excuse me, minus 105 elsewhere, I would just take the point and give yourself a little bit of an out over 5 cents. All right, let's go to Cleveland next. Alabama and Robert Morris. These CDs will be where the first of 15 numbers get a little more out of control here. So Robert Morris, the 22-point underdogs here against Bama in this one. The total, by the way, for a Bama total, finally getting bet up from 165.5 to 168. Again, there is no reason to bet Alabama unders, at least in my opinion, because the pace is going to be insane. Bama, the number 1 pace team in the country, as we know. I think Robert Morris could be willing to run here also. Now, the question in this game is Robert Morris going to be able to score? Now, we really get on Bama for their defense not being any good. But in reality, they're still the 32nd best defense in the country. They're still good on defense. It's just with the difference between their offense and their defense has been pretty brutal of late, except for that Kentucky game in the SEC tournament. So here's the question mark. Grant Nelson, by the way, Grant Nelson of Alabama, who suffered an injury that last game, going through warm-ups right now. Heavy wrap on the left knee right now. The expectation is that he will play. We don't know if there's a minutes cap or a hope of a minutes cap in this, but we'll see how that plays out more so than anything. I really do think, look at 22. I really was not overly impressed with Robert Morris in that Horizon League tournament. I actually thought the Horizon League was relatively weak this year. It'd probably be lay the lumber. Yesterday, the giant favorites yesterday. So Houston covered easily, winning by 38. Auburn did not come close to covering. They were never really in There's never really a doubt that Alabama State was going to cover yesterday. St. John's, despite playing one of their worst halves of the last 3 months in the first half, ended up beating Omaha by 30, just eviscerated them in that game. Wisconsin, 16 and a half, won by 19. That was pretty much it on the big favorites yesterday. There weren't that many huge lines. Texas Tech didn't come close to covering any of their numbers. They won by 10. So is this a day where the bigger favorites start covering a little bit of a better clip? Maybe, but it would probably be a lean, if anything. The only thing we'd look at here is the over in Bama and Robert Morris. All right, moving along. Let's go to Lipscomb and Iowa State. We're going with this one here. Hold on a second. Let's go Lipscomb and Iowa State. 14 in this game. 143 on the total here. 14 for this game. And I've said it earlier in the week. I give the Bisons a good chance to pull this giant outright upset. Now, you look at Iowa State, you have no Keyshawn Gilbert the rest of the way, who I still think is their best player. He'll move Curtis Jones into the starting lineup, who has been instant offense off the bench this year. This is still a very, very high-end Iowa State team. Now, Gilbert suffered that injury in the Colorado game. Since the Gilbert injury, Iowa State is actually underwater. Now, granted, they played some really good competition. Two of those losses are to BYU, who's playing as well as anyone in the country right now, and one of those losses to Houston, who, again, is the team I have winning the national championship. They did have that bad loss against Oklahoma State mixed in there. Their other wins, they beat Arizona in a revenge spot in Ames. They beat Kansas State in a revenge spot in Manhattan. And they beat Cincinnati on a neutral, and I thought Cincinnati by the end of the year stunk. So, not the greatest of runs. Yeah, that Arizona win's a really good win, but regardless, here's why Lipscomb is live here to me. In a game like this, protecting the basketball is very important. Lipscomb is the 21st best team at avoiding turnovers when they have the ball in the country, according to Ken Bum. They're the 23rd effective field goal percentage team in the country. 74th in offense here. They're 44th in three-point percentage. They're 20th in two-point percentage, and they shoot free throws great. That's a type of profile that can pull an upset here. Now, the big question mark is, how do they hold up inside? Jefferson is one of the more underrated players in the country to me. Joshua Jefferson, of course, of Iowa State. Will Charlie Williams, who's 6'10", will Agnesevich be able to hold inside as well at 6'8"? Will they be able to hold up? If they can hold up, this should be a close game. Now, plus 750 is a gigantic price, and unfortunately, there seems to be a lot of public action on Lipscomb money line as well at some square shops, not behind us. It's a good shop. But 14 is way too much. We're on Lipscomb. Sprinkle money line as well. If this was for my bracket. This was the highest upset that I had going into it. And of course, North Carolina could end up being the beneficiary, the least deserving team in this tournament. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll keep it rolling. Duane Colucci, live from the Rampart. When we get back, Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books, 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day. The friendly ticket writers are happy to help, and it's conveniently located next to the famous Del Mar Deli, where you'll find supersized portions of delicious deli items like roast beef, pastrami, and Reuben sandwiches, or soups, salads, and pizza, plus spectacular desserts fit for a king. And right next door is the race book, over 150 seats, each with its own TV screen. There are 16 interactive player terminals, so you can bet right from your seat.
We're back in at Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. I'm Jeff Parles, and now joining us, our good friend up at the Rampart, who has a jammed house as well right now, as people trying to get their bets in before these games go. This morning, our good friend Duane Colucci, race and sportsbook director, up at the Rampart in Summerlin. Good morning, Colucci. I'm looking to improve on yesterday. It was not the greatest of days for us on the desk, so we'll see if we can get a little better here today. But Duane, let's get into it. First off, up there at your shop, packed house yet again after what you said to me off the air. A great day for you guys yesterday, just in the environment-wise.
It's what we look forward to, as sportsbook managers, directors. This is the second biggest event next to the Super Bowl for us. So, this opening weekend is just tremendous. The handle was tremendous. We were packed. The parlay cards were out there and just having a good time, everybody. That's what it's all about. You have people from Kentucky, Tennessee, all over the country that come here to the Rampart. They're representing their teams, and it's just a lot of fun.
Duane, let's get into some of these games. I talked about the first 3 on the board. Let's start with the Mountain West champion in action in Seattle. This is the late game of the morning card, and they take on Memphis. Duane, after yesterday's absolutely brilliantly bad performance by Utah State against UCLA, I have the updated number here real quick for you. The Mountain West, Duane, since 2006, is now 26-55 against the number in the NCAA tournament. I don't know about you. That's barely eclipsing 30%. And the 12, Colorado State is favored in this game against Memphis. Yeah, Tyrese Hunter. There's injury concerns on the Memphis end. There's always a Penny Hardaway concern when you're betting Memphis. But I mean, you're going to give me you're going to give me a price against the Mountain West team. I'm taking it 100 times out of 100. And if Memphis loses, so be it here, Duane.
Yeah, I hear you, Jeff. I mean, Colorado State looked really good out here, though. And like you said, Memphis has injury concerns. Memphis also has Penny Hardaway as their head coach, who, how it transpires to the kids is the major factor there, and how he's going to coach the game. So I can understand Colorado State being 1.5 in this game. We're seeing Colorado State money. We're actually a little bit high on that side. And ticket count is almost even here at the Rampart and South Point. So this is an interesting game. I think it's pretty much a toss-up. I totally understand your handicapping technique. I mean, the days of Larry Johnson and, Stacey Augman and the Rebels just plowing through and covering every game, those are long, long gone. So, the Mountain West has evolved, and San Diego State, Fish is retired. It's all a totally different scenario and complexion now. But this is definitely a winnable game for Colorado State because, as I said, they look great out here in the Mountain West tournament. And Memphis does have some concerns, but I would lay off this game. I understand the public backing Colorado State because they're familiar with the team as well here in the Mountain West. So an interesting game to start the 11 o'clock session.
Anderson Hunt was in attendance here yesterday, by the way. So
nice.
So
used to love him. Unbelievable. He got a bum rap. I mean, he should have made the NBA. I remember he was trying out for the Celtics, and I can't remember. I think it was a point guard from Virginia beat him out on the last roster spot for the Celtics. Maybe John Crotty or somebody like that. And I was just perplexed. I think it was just the bad reputation that the Rebels received after winning those titles, and with the the incidents that went surrounding that great team. But Anderson Hunt, a fabulous outside shooter and a key cog of the Tarkanian Rebels that won the titles.
Duane, let's go to the team that is going to always be bet one way or another in Raleigh, the 1 seed Duke taking on Mount St. Mary's. Mount St. Mary's actually looked pretty good in that playing game. Really put it on AU on Wednesday night. This obviously is, well, now it is the biggest line of round one, 32 with Duke basically playing a home game in Raleigh with a total of 140. I have no action on this game. That is a lot of points to have to cover with Cooper Flagg still with that bum knee, or bum ankle, I should say. But Duane, people always love betting Duke when the tournament comes around.
Yeah, definitely, but nobody's betting on this particular game, believe it or not.
Okay.
You're getting a lot of futures on Duke, but because of the flag, this is one of the lower handle games and the 32-point spread. But, I mean, these teams looked like juggernauts yesterday. I mean, Houston, St. John's, they were just plowing through the competition. Even Gonzaga, I think we talked about how Gonzaga was a 12 in KenPom, yet they're playing an 8-9 game. It just don't make sense. You knew Gonzaga was ready for that game, and they're so well coached when it comes around to this time of the year. So some of these flashy teams really look good, and the higher seeds did look, exceptional. Auburn started real slow, but they look good as well. So, I find it very hard to bet these Mount St. Mary caliber teams, even though they look good in the play-in game. Flagg, once they open up the lead, he'll be on the bench. So you have to factor that into your handicapping as well. But 32-point spread, a lot of people laying off. Ticket count is almost even. Money slightly in favor of Duke, and that's all parlay money, and you know how that works, Jeff.
Oh, just slightly, Duane. First to 15, by the way, on the Mount is 4-1 here at the South Point and up at Duane's shop as well. If Mount St. Mary's is first to 15, that'll be the loudest eruption we hear all day upstairs at the party. I'm just throwing that out there as well. All right. Later in the afternoon, we go back to Cleveland, Vandy and St. Mary's. Duane, when this bracket came out, I thought this was one of the hardest games of the entire tournament to figure. We know St. Mary's wants to grind the game to a halt. We know Vanderbilt wants to run. 4.5 with this one with St. Mary's, with a total of 135.5 on this game.
Yeah, St. Mary's. Whack, not Mount St. Mary's. Yeah, St. Mary's, they look dominating, in the regular season, but then it comes to the tournament out at the Orleans, and they end up losing again to Gonzaga. So this is a hard game to handicap. 4.5, but we're seeing 2-1 money and ticket count on St. Mary's. I think St. Mary's wins this game, rather easily. They're going to slow it down to a grind. You're seeing that 136 total. I think they'll be able to do that and get out of the first round. I was touting them last year, and they did horrible. So, maybe a bounce back this year. They really look good in the regular season. Vanderbilt, definitely one of those solid SEC teams, but let's round it out. I like St. Mary's in this game. 4.5 at the Rampart and South Point. I think they'll slow it down to a crawl, and the defense will take control in this game.
The only concern that I have in this game, and I'm staying out of it, I don't have any issues with the numbers. The best win out of the WCC this year by KenPom numbers for St. Mary's was Nebraska. So that's always a little bit concerning when that happens to be the case, but they did beat Gonzaga twice. So again, it'll be interesting to see, especially after last year where St. Mary's got ran off the court by Grand Canyon at the end of the game last year in that nightcap in a 12-5 upset up in Spokane. All right. The least deserving team in the NCAA tournament is the betting favorite here today again after thumping San Diego State on Tuesday. Somehow the committee managed to get North Carolina an extra day of rest also for a first 4 games. Sure, why not? Duane, 1.5 with the Tar Heels. Ole Miss, the 6, the underdog. I am on the Rebels in this game. I just think Chris Beard is too good of a coach to allow his team to not be fully prepared for what is a talented North Carolina team, but a North Carolina team nonetheless that, again, still only has one quad one win because San Diego State was out of the quad one by the end of that game on Tuesday night.
This is not San Diego State. I love Ole Miss in this game. I'm going with you on this theory, the bounce back theory. I think Mississippi is just going to run them off the court. I mean, we're seeing a ticket count of 4-1 on North Carolina, and I don't understand it. They shouldn't even be here. I mean, Hubert Davis, he's a good coach, but let's put the cards on the table. Ole Miss is going to win this game. People are just looking at that blowout victory and getting all excited. But who did San Diego State beat this year? They were another team that they were lucky to even get a play-in game. So, we're seeing a ticket count, like I said, 4-1. Money is 2.5 to 1 on North Carolina. I'm going with Ole Miss here. I like Ole Miss like you do, Jeff. I think they're the better team, and I think they are the right side in this game. And, when all the chips are on the table, these teams come to play. They're going to be geared up and definitely fired up. Even though North Carolina has that game under their belt, I still think Ole Miss gets it.
The one concern that I'll have, at least North Carolina, obviously very heavy one-on-one offense, very ISO ball-centric. Ole Miss does have their issues defending that. That is the only concern I have in this game. And look, Duane, every year there seems to be one team that doesn't deserve to be there that manages to go on a run. It's possible it's this. It's possible it's Xavier later in the day against Illinois, a game that we will cover later on in the show. All right. The final game of the afternoon card is one in Seattle, where I think the underdog is going to be a popular spread play here today, and that's Grand Canyon, who we saw win a game in the tournament a year ago. They're back. They're not quite as good as they were a year ago. They're much better on offense last year than they are this year, even though Tyus Grant Foster was out for a good chunk of the season. He's now back. Maryland, who by the end of the year was playing as well as anyone in the Big Ten. Their only two losses down the stretch were that 65-footer that Michigan State threw in against them at the buzzer to beat them in College Park, and then the dash to the bucket by Donaldson in the Big Ten semifinal to beat Maryland by a point. I'm staying very far away from this game, Duane, because if you told me Maryland won by 20, I wouldn't be shocked. And if you told me Maryland's got to get a stop on the last possession to win by a bucket, it wouldn't shock me. I think this is a very hard handicap here today, just because Grand Canyon is wildly inconsistent on offense.
Yeah, definitely. But Foster is a nice acquisition to have back in the lineup. Definitely you're getting 10.5. But like you said, Maryland was playing really, really well down the stretch. And, you have to take into consideration the strength and the conference schedule that Maryland was playing when you're dealing with a game of this caliber. Now, Grand Canyon, they're erratic on offense. I'm like you, Jeff. I wouldn't be shocked if Maryland blows them out. But, Grand Canyon staying within the 10.5 point spread here at the Rampart and South Point is not out of the question as well. Ticket count is about 3-1 in favor of Maryland. 2-1, excuse me. Money is 3-1 in favor of Maryland. Totally understand what the public's doing here. Parlaying Maryland, also, money line parlays, even teasers. They're definitely going to be a focal point and a hinge on a lot of these parlays rolling into the later games, this afternoon and this evening. So this is a matchup where we're going to need Grand Canyon. I don't feel bad about that. I could definitely take this team with 10.5. This could go either way, though. Like you said, Jeff, a very, very interesting matchup, in the 115, 135 time slot, I should say.
Duane, before we let you go, because obviously this is a very, very busy day for you up at the Rampart. Obviously, we'll talk about the games tomorrow, but has there been any action on any of those Saturday games yet? And you got a bunch of doozies tomorrow. St. John's in Arkansas with Calipari and Petito. You have Houston and Gonzaga, which for a 1-8 game, that's as high level of a 1-8 game as I can ever remember. Kentucky, Wichita State. So that was, 12 years ago now?
Right.
Creighton and Auburn, after Auburn really messed around yesterday. There are 8 games, and quite frankly, with the lack of upsets yesterday, there's really the biggest number tomorrow is 9 right now with Auburn against Creighton.
Yeah, we're seeing some BYU early money. That was some sharp action against Wisconsin. We have that game at a pick 'em right now at the Rampart in South Point. Naturally, St. John's. I mean, everybody's riding Patino right now. The team is playing so well. They're so well coached. They're so well rounded. They just destroyed these Big East teams. And you see how good Creighton and Xavier in the second half looked. So, St. John's is going to be on everybody's parlays. I like Creighton with the 9. I would take the points here. Auburn started very slow yesterday. Bruce Pearl has really got to put the pedal to the metal to destroy this Creighton team that is definitely hungry and one of the better Big East teams. And you're getting 9 points here. You look at that money line at plus 375. There's going to be some takers there. Currently, we're getting two-way action. Ticket count is almost even on that game. But the initial reactions were definitely BYU. That was the focal point.
Duane, the pleasure as always. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the great crowd that I know you'll have up at the Rampart here today, and let's see how this goes here in the round of 64, day 2. Thank you as always. We'll see you again next week.
Definitely, Jeff. Thanks for having me on. Enjoy yourself at the South Point, and for your horse player, Baby Max. I know he's got to be on today asking for a pick. Baby Max in the the Jeff Ruby Stakes at Turfway tomorrow. So bet it without a doubt.
Okay, there you go. See, even in the midst of the madness, we still are able to get our horse plays in for sure.
Gotta have something in there, Jeff. You know me. I'm a degenerate. I got everything going on, and I'm a bookie too. So bet with the best here at the Rampart in South Point. Go and see Chris. Come and see me. We're gonna be packed today. It's gonna be off the hook.
It's gonna be awesome. Duane Colucci, everyone. We'll see him again next Friday. All right, we'll take one short break. When we get back, 8 games to go to in the evening slate across the NCAA tournament. When we get back, Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
Las Vegas Resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rockin' dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back in at Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. 8 games to go to here. By the way, if you're in town, if you're watching in the sports book, welcome to the South Point. If you're watching upstairs and you happen to have us on your phone or your tablet, we appreciate you. We'll be out there again today. I know our guy Vince is going to be handing out business cards along with me at some point today. We're going to have a good time on that. It'll be a lot of fun upstairs at the best party in Las Vegas, right here at the South Point. And food special today, I think, was a cheesesteak upstairs. I think it was. Sean is already hungry. I know it. You're already hungry. All right, let's get to the evening game, by the way, underway with Baylor and Mississippi State. Mississippi State has an insurmountable 1-0 lead. 1-0, 35 seconds into the game in Raleigh. Also in Raleigh tonight, Sean, if you want to pull up those Raleigh 1st to 15s here in a moment, because we're going to have another very long shot here in that 3:50 Pacific, 6:50 local time in Raleigh tonight. Florida going to take on Norfolk State. That's a big price on the Spartans at plus 330, 1st to 15 here at the South Point. All games available 1st to 15, as always, here at the South Point and up at the Rampart All Gone Gaming Books. So Florida is 28.5 right now. There's a lot of 28 in the market on this game. Total's 153. The Gators are playing as well as anyone in the country, and there's a reason they were one of the most popular picks to win the whole thing. They were the second most popular pick on ESPN.com by people, by the ESPN experts themselves. Florida actually had the most selected brackets. I have Florida losing to Houston in the national title game. So here's the question in this game. How does Norfolk State cover the number? That's the question. Ken Baum has a 25, so I guess it's 3.5 point difference. Norfolk State has to shoot at least somewhat okay. They are awful from three-point range. They're 306th in the country. Florida defends the three great. They're top 10 defensively, three-point wise, at 29.6%. That's good for 8th in the country. I have a very hard time seeing this not being a beatdown. Now, of the 16 seeds, I think that we're going to get it. We saw Alabama State cover easily yesterday. SIU had no chance against Houston when it was all said and done. If you made me play the Duke Mount St. Mary's game, I think I'd take 32. If you make me play this game, I would find a 28 and lay it with Florida. I just think too much in the end for Florida to not win this game by 30 here against Norfolk State. I think this is a total run out here today with a really interesting 1-8 or 1-9 matchup for Florida coming up. We'll get that game a little bit later in the show. All right, Troy and Kentucky in Milwaukee here tonight. 14-3. Kentucky's 11. There's a lot of 11.5 in the market. Total 151 on this game. Chris and Company opened a bigger number and it got bet down, and it's been pretty well stuck at the 11, 10.5 range since the initial opener here at the South Point. Total's gone down 2 points. Scott Cross is a really good coach, the coach of Troy. Coached his alma mater, UT Arlington. They inexplicably fired him after he won 20 games 3 straight years. And after 2 rough years to begin his Troy tenure, he's won 20 games each of the last 4 years. Guy can coach. First NCAA tournament appearance for Cross, period. Well, actually, since 2008. That was the last time he made the tournament. Kentucky, of course, we know a lot of failures in the tournament of late, but a whole different ballgame now with Mark Pope at the helm. Pope still is actually looking, amazingly enough, is still looking for his first NCAA tournament win. Only made the tournament twice at BYU. They lost as a 6 seed twice in 2021, and then last year, of course, Duquesne got him in round 1 in an opening game in a tournament. When the bracket was revealed, this was kind of like one of the games like, oh, this game exists. I didn't really put much thought into betting this game, and quite frankly, I don't have a play on this because I think there's a legitimate argument for Troy covering this game. They make Kentucky slow down. Their defense holds up well enough. Kentucky doesn't have a good shooting game. The other side of this is Kentucky runs them out of the gym with their pace, and Kentucky's making their shots. If Kentucky's making their shots, I don't know how this is a close game. Kentucky's a top 25 three-point shooting team. That's the way this becomes a run-out. Total may be a little high, but again, correlated. If you like the favorite, you like the over, you like the dog, you like the under. That's the way you would look at that one. And I'm not surprised it's gone down to 151 in this game. All right, let's go to Cleveland for Marquette, the 7 seed in the South against New Mexico. This is 4. It's 152.5. I attempted to make the argument for New Mexico on the Midwest, on the South Regional preview earlier in the week. There's no argument at this point. We are going against the Mountain West while we still can here. Now, I don't love this Marquette team. I think they've done basically the minimum they could have done with the amount of talent they have on this team of getting a 7 seed. Cam Jones is obviously an elite player. Donovan Dent on the New Mexico side. I mean, this is a great matchup at point guard. I don't think they'll cover each other, but boy, both of those players are awesome. But New Mexico gets caught up in the Mountain West stench in March here. Now, it would only be a lay of Marquette with the 4. Again, you have a Pitino coaching in New Mexico. Marquette saw St. John's 3 times. Maybe there is a little bit of a conversation with Rick and Richard, but they're very different teams, obviously, St. John's and New Mexico. St. John's plays defense. New Mexico does not. But this feels like, again, fate of the Mountain West in a flip-like game, which this game is most, again, it's 4. It's a 7-10. These games are supposed to be close. But I would only look to the favored Marquette laying the 4 points here against New Mexico in that first game in the night session in Cleveland. All right, now we go upset hunting in Seattle, Akron, and Arizona. Zona, who has been in the Sweet 16 twice under Tommy Lloyd, though. Lloyd, so far in his career in the NCAA tournament, is 0-5 against the number, has not covered yet. And I do not expect that to continue here I do expect that trend to continue. Expect them to continue not being able to cover. Akron, the big question mark in this game for Akron is, can their defense hold up at all? If they can hold up at all, they're alive to pull this thing outright because their offense is awesome. And they can shoot the three-pointer well. They're used to playing the quick pace that Arizona wants to play. It's all going to be about making shots for Akron here in this game. Plus 220s the first to 15. Don't mind that at all. Would very happily, and already have taken Akron, plus the points in this game. And if you want to sprinkle 8-1 on the Zips, you can go ahead. I think this is a massive coaching mismatch with John Gross on the Akron side against Lloyd, who, again, I do not think much of him as an in-game coach. Great roster builder. Done a really good job this year because that season could have really fallen off the tracks early with that bad start in non-con. They were 5-6 after losing to UCLA. But I think there is a real chance of a shocker, and would be, by the way, the biggest money line shocker of this tournament, because 8-1 is more than even that Lipscomb one that I think has a shot of happening later here this morning in that plus 750 with that 14 seed on that one. All right, let's take one more break because our friend Vincenz is in the studio. We have 4 games to get to on the way out the door here on a Friday. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back in at Sports by the Book. I'm Jeff Parles. Hey, the seat's filled next to me right now. Vinny Meliulos here.
You were flying solo, but you had Colucci.
Well, we had Colucci. We had
excellent.
We had Jerry even gave me a thumbs up earlier in the show. That's how good things were going earlier in the show.
Jerry must have. He's got a winning ticket in his pocket. 2 winning tickets. Well, I like that.
So, Vinny, real quick, yesterday, how'd you guys do?
It was a good morning, pretty decent afternoon. Last night, the 3 in the Michigan game.
Well, yeah, of course.
Good. Not good.
Yeah.
So, which make I knew
sense.
you knew that answer already because you thrive on games falling 3 in all sports.
Well, I will tell you, I was not happy with that result because I forwent the points on that and just went outright, and that did not get there.
Yeah.
So I was in the camp of I did not care that it landed on 3. I would have been okay if it landed.
Don't you care about us?
I would have if it landed 4, it would have been okay. If it landed 1, it would have been okay, right? I mean,
sure.
You just needed it to not land there.
Seriously, the thing about it is, you've got 16 games. You had 16 games yesterday, 16 games today. There's so many swings that that go back and forth. And speaking of swings, I mean, no surprise here, right? You'll in a few minutes we'll hear the 1st to 15 roar.
Well, we're 10-10 right now, so.
Yeah. So they did bet Baylor, even though they were a slight dog in a game close pick 'em. They did take Baylor 1st to 15 here. I tell you, one of the most popular bets of the year in all sports. One of the most popular props that we have here at the South Point.
Well, the loudest pop yesterday was McNeese.
Oh,
McNeese 1st to 15 was the loudest pop yesterday.
But it was listen, good day, great action. I know you. And the crew were upstairs enjoying it. Chris, Jimmy, and I stopped up there. We'll go up there today. It's a great setting.
We lost Jimmy for a little bit yesterday.
Well, he got a bite and then had to go. He had a meeting. He had a
very important meeting.
A spa renovation meeting.
Oh,
and so.
Wait a second. That actually is happening. It
is going to happen.
Yeah.
And Jimmy's he's the lead on that.
Well,
on the spa renovation.
He should be. He should be. It's his second home at this. Well, third home. His actual home and then the sports book and then the spa.
Yeah.
I don't know. He might argue with me on that.
Good, but a good day of action. A lot of business, and just a great turnout. Not only visitors from out of town, but our locals. And did run into a couple of groups yesterday, Jeff. And you and I chatted about it while we were upstairs in the in the party. That in the event center. A couple of groups in their 26th year.
Wow.
Here at not only the South Point, South Point's not that old, but had one group was at the Orleans prior to South Point opening, and then they've been here ever since. And then the other was at the Gold Coast. Those were properties that Michael Gaughan owned previously, Coast Resorts. So great to see those folks in their pilgrimage every year. And now they're bringing the next generation. A lot of their sons and daughters are here. It's great.
So, Vinny, let's go to the game. Let's pick up where we're at right now. And we are, by the way, 12-10 Mississippi State. So, another 1st to 15 that's going to, 12-12 now. So, this is coming.
Yeah.
Who makes the three-pointer first? Well, we'll be able to tell if there's a roar.
Well, you'll know.
Baylor gets there,
exactly.
If not at Mississippi State. All right, so we're up to the nightcap games here.
Okay.
And we're starting with 8-9. In Raleigh with UConn, the 2-time defending champions taking Oklahoma on.
Mm-hmm.
They're betting Connecticut.
Heavily.
They're betting Connecticut. I will say this. Rattled in and out on the 3. Look at that, Vinny. So close to dodging it there. But this has been a really good start to this tournament for the Big East. Xavier wins their playing game.
Yes.
Creighton just eviscerates Louisville in what was basically a Louisville home game in Lexington.
Yeah, it was.
And that game was not.
That
game was really not tight at all. Creighton won that game easily, and then St. John's in the second half. Poor Omaha. Can you even imagine what went on in the locker room in Providence last night after that sloppy first half from St. John's?
Well, can
you even imagine?
We've seen some Rick Pitino. There it is.
Bulldogs get 1st to 15. Yeah. There you go. You dodged one, Vinny. You won one.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm sure we'll give it back sometime soon, but that's okay. We've seen some great Rick Pitino halftime clips during this season, and I'm sure that he pulls no punches and he lets his team know. And you know what? They respond. Credit him. But credit the players for responding the way they do and not just kind of going into a shell, and and that's certainly been a trait of this team this year and a big part of their success.
It was very impressive. But for this UConn game, you said they're betting UConn.
They're betting UConn heavy. I mean, we opened this game too on Sunday, on Selection Sunday, and immediately, and ever since then, it's been all UConn money. The game's up to 6.
Yeah,
I mean, it's obviously now it's
it's a take or nothing.
You're gonna lay up to upwards of 240 on the 250 now on the money line. So it's going to be a decision, even if they come back in on Oklahoma, between the point spread betting. And again, we took 10,000 right from the beginning, right from the jump on Sunday night. So between the parlays and the money line action and everything, it's going to be a pretty good decision. And everything will be going to it. Don't forget, you mentioned.
Oh, yeah, it's the first game of the late games.
The late games.
This is the beginning of the get right or get worse slate.
We don't wait for the following, like Sunday or Monday night, like in football.
No, this is the get right or get even worse games. All the time. These Friday, Saturday, Sunday night especially. Once you get to the end of the weekend, there'll be a lot of action on whatever game that ends up being. All right, next game up, Xavier and Illinois. Xavier comes from double digits down to beat Texas on Wednesday night in Dayton. Now they play a team that this is going to be a fast game here in this one. Illinois, right now, Vinny, you're 3.5 on this game.
Jeff, it's a toggler. Go ahead, say it.
Oh, well, you toggling between 3.5 and 4 right now?
3.5, 4.
Oh, even better.
3.5, 4.
I don't think you're going to have to worry about anything. I like Xavier outright in this game.
You like him outright?
Yeah, I like him outright.
You brought up the pace, 161 on the total, and they bet this game over, and that's not a real surprise.
So one of the weird anomalies with Illinois this year, by the way, Ken Pom has them 18th in the country, so they're still a high-end team.
Mm-hmm. It's a little unpredictable, right?
Illinois has the 15th most efficient offense, but the majority of their offense is shooting threes, and they're 316th in the country in three-point percentage.
Yeah.
It's a very weird thing that they do there. They are very efficient at the inside the arc. They're very efficient at the free throw line, which helps them. But
defensively, they've got to be better, right? If they're going to advance,
they're 43rd in the country, and they don't turn you over.
No. But Louisville was even better from 3. Look at what happened to them yesterday.
Again,
right? You got to make them,
Vinny. You know this better than me. You get a bad shooting game in this tournament. It usually is a very bad sign for your advancement in this tournament.
Yeah.
But I also like Sean Miller a little bit more than I like Brett Underwood, and I like Brett Underwood. But this is a really interesting game. Xavier, by the way, finally better on offense than they are defense. It took until the other night for those numbers to flip on Ken Pom. All right, the last two of the night. Vinny, a lot of sharp action on Bryant against Michigan State, right? 17 now in this game with a total of 152.5.
Opened the game 20. A lot of the majority of the wagers that came in, and on Sunday evening there were more 10-dime wagers, 11,000 to win 10,000. than we've seen in a few years. There were more $10,000 10-dime bets than there were 5 and 2 and 3-dime bets. So and it's just continued. So but the move here, Bryant, and the majority of those bets, by the way, were on underdogs. And so this game opened 20 with the Spartans favored, and now is, as you mentioned, you'd see on the screen, 17, 152.5. It continues to get bet over.
I don't know what to do with this because I don't think this Bryant team's really that good. I get why the number was taken because there's a segment of the population that doesn't fully buy this Michigan State team, which I don't fully understand.
It's a good point considering how well they've played the last 2 months, right? When you think about it.
Every time I've seen, look, they are not a good 3-point shooting team. I get that. But every time I've watched them play, they look like this is the best coaching job Izzo's done in a while.
Good point.
His defense is awesome.
Oh, good D.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, 17 is a lot of points. Could Bryant accidentally cover the number? Of course. We see it all the time.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think everyone's a little bit lower on Michigan State than they should be going into.
And this is a game where, Michigan State, could they wear them down? Again, again, don't forget first half, second half action, and then the end game. So lot of options.
And then a fun one to end the night, Vinny, in Seattle. Oregon making the easy trip from Eugene to Seattle.
Yeah.
Is a 7-point favorite against Liberty. Alex is on Liberty outright, by the way. So
I made this game a little higher. So when we did the numbers, of course, there were 4 of us, 5 of us back there, right? Jimmy, Chris, and of course Chris quarterback in the call on the final number or to post. Tony Sinisi, Alex, and myself. I made this a little bit higher, I think, than most, but taking into account the location, right? So obviously not a home game, but travel comes into play here, and we although it didn't help Louisville yesterday, right? They were a bus ride away, and they had a game. They played a game earlier this season against Kentucky in Rupp Arena. So, but all that said, they took the 7.5 from the opener. And now we sit at 7, so 138. One of the lower totals here, if you notice, compared to some of the totals we just talked about, down a couple of points off the 140 opener.
Well, this is a really interesting game because Liberty wants to slow it down, but they are. This is a high-end 3-point shooting team.
Yeah, good point.
Want to play slow. Again, we saw yesterday the slowest tempo in America. Drake handled Missouri pretty handily. Other than maybe for about 2-3 minutes, about 4 or 5 minutes there in the second half where it got down to 1 and then went right back to 9. But this is an interesting one to end the night. I'm very curious to see how Oregon looks because remember, this has been a little bit of a weird run over the last few years for the Ducks where they were consistently in the second weekend. It didn't matter what seed they were. I mean, they got to the second weekend as high as a 1 and as low as a 12. A little bit of an oddball run here from Altman where this is just, they made the tournament last year. They won as an 11, but they were not in the tournament the previous 2 years. So this is, again, being with the home jerseys on, a little bit of a different scenario here for this Duck team over the last 4 years.
Obviously, nobody's, impervious, I guess, to inconsistency. But you're right. We talked about how, like Illinois had an up and down season, right? And every team, I guess, goes through some peaks and valleys. But when you look at who's been, the more consistent two in the tournament, you're right. Oregon, they surprise you. They lay an egg when you think that they're going to really make a move, and then when you think when people bet against them, that's when they surprise them. So they've been pretty inconsistent under Dana Altman's tenure in the tournament, but credit them for making it. And but I suspect we're going to need Oregon in this game by the time it tips off. And this is the closeout game.
Yeah, this is the closeout.
So
very interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
All right, Vinny. Before we get out of here today, tomorrow, real quick.
Yeah.
What are they betting right now? I know Duane said that up there that BYU is taking a little bit of money.
Yep, they bet St. John's.
Yeah.
So St. John's from 6.5 to 7. They bet Houston from 4.5 to 5 against Gonzaga. Colucci's right on it. We did open Wisconsin 1.5. They took 1.5. They took 1. We're down to pick on that game, and they laid 1.5 and 2 with Texas A&M against Michigan.
That A&M Michigan game, I have absolutely no idea what to do with. No clue.
I'm thinking that by the time get to game time, you'll have an idea whether to pre-flop or whether to in-game.
I probably won't pre-flop. I don't really love either of those teams, but they both managed to win yesterday. By the way, as Vince, as I told you the whole way yesterday, told you the Yale plus 7.5 was the great tease of the 2025 tournament.
You did. You said I was there when you were preaching it.
All over it. Manages to land 9 because, of course, it did. So there you go. By the way, you got a tight game early in Raleigh, 16-16, make it 18-16. Baylor halfway home in that first half. First half totals actually been a little bit different than usual. First half over has actually been much better so far in this tournament than in the past.
A couple of games yesterday didn't, but for the most part they've been better. Teams have been shooting better and going right at it. So this is a pretty decent pace right here. There's a 3 by Miss State. So
37 points in 10 minutes. That's on pace
halfway.
For an over in the first half. By a nice margin actually on that. All right, tomorrow we're live at 8:30. We're back at it. I'll be here 8 games to get to tomorrow, maybe even a little NIT action, who knows, on the show tomorrow morning at 8:30. Vinny will be here at 6 a.m. with the coffee, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm just going to stay all night.
There we go.
Why go? Why leave?
We're going to be upstairs. If you want to say hello to us at the party.
Well, you see some folks here, they literally do that,
No, I know.
Especially if there's a group.
If they want to sit down here, too, they can just.
If there's a group, who drew the straw. And there's one group, I love this. Whoever had the losingest day, that's who gets elected to kind of camp out in the table or the booth. Yeah. Pretty funny.
That would not have been good for us yesterday, Vince. Not have been good on that. So, all right. So we're back at 8:30, Vinny. Maybe we'll see you tomorrow morning. If not, we will see you throughout the next week. Yeah. There was no Free Throw Friday today because Mr. Maliulo and Mr. Andrews are a little bit busy today.
Got a couple things going on.
They're a little busy today. So this is the preview show. If you missed any of it, watch it back. We'll be on YouTube, living forever now. Forever hold our peace, Vinny. On that, Jerry, Vince, and Drew Dog, Sean, Ryan, thank you all. As always, we'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:30, getting you ready for the round of 32 in the NCAA tournament. I'm Jeff Parles. This has been Sports by the Book, live as always from the South Point Hotel and Casino.